So we're going to be looking at an event. An event is like when there's a day that's to represent something. So when we go to an event and we go there because maybe it's an important time where we want to show the world something or help support something. So as an example, let's look at Earth Day. So this is a time, an event, which happens once a year. And we're just going to read about it. Why is this day important? When does it happen? And what do people do when they go to this event? Okay, so we're talking about events, and we're going to be reading about Earth Day as an example. And then we are going to be creating our own event and, making a poster and, putting important information about when is it happening, whereabouts, and what can you do there. Because it's always important. We go to events, and maybe one day you will need to create an event. Maybe it's just a birthday party, or it's a New Year's celebration, or a Christmas party, or something that's traditional for your country. Okay, so let's have this lesson where we are talking about events. So as I said, we have Earth Day. So what do people do on Earth Day? When and where was the first Earth Day? And why did they go to it? So let's read, and then we'll answer those questions. Okay, so we'll read together. So it's called Earth Day, and it says in the caption, Friends at Earth Day in Washington, D.C., which is in the USA. So April the 22nd is Earth Day. For one day every year, people in different countries help the earth. For example, they clean parks, pick up rubbish, or plant trees. The first Earth Day was on April the 22nd, 1970, in the USA. Over 20 million people went to an Earth Day in their city. There were politicians, teachers, artists, and musicians. As one person said, we had fun, but we also wanted to help the earth and the environment. Okay, so we know that when people go there, what do? They clean the parks, they pick up rubbish, they plant trees. And when is this? When? April the 22nd, every year. And where was the first one? The first one was in USA in 1970. And why did people do it? Because they wanted to have fun, they wanted to help the earth and the environment. Okay, so that's an event. It happens every year, and it's important. It's really important. And, you want to make a poster and tell everyone to come. So let's listen now to a presentation by a university student. And let's choose the correct ending. Okay, so we're going to listen to a student talking about an event, and let's see what the presentation is on. Okay, answering questions 2.
At 12D.
Good morning, and thank you for coming. My name's Davi, and I'm from Brazil. Today, I'd like to talk about an important day in my year called Earth Day. First of all, Earth Day began on April 22nd in 1970. Over 20 million people went to Earth Day in different cities across the USA. There were politicians, teachers, artists, and musicians. Since that day in 1970, Earth Day has become famous all over the world. Nowadays, more than 175 countries have an Earth Day. Lots of people do different things. Last year, people in China planted 600,000 new trees. In New Orleans, in the USA, they put 300,000 energy-efficient bulbs into houses. And finally, in my country, lots of people picked up rubbish in the cities and in the countryside. In conclusion, I really think Earth Day is important. Next year, I hope you will do something on Earth Day. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, so we heard a presentation. So Davi is from Brazil. So we know that he is from Brazil. And he talks about Earth Day. So he is from Brazil. And he talks about Earth Day in the present. So that means in the moment, about now, what is happening, and the past. So it's always important to give some information about the history of the event. So like, when did it start? Why did people create this event? So he gave a bit of history, and then he talked about it now, what they are doing. People in China planted 600,000 trees. Okay, so this was, they were planting the trees. And in Brazil, people picked up rubbish in the cities and the countrysides. Okay, so not just in the city, but also in the small towns, the countrysides. So we call them the countryside. And Davi thinks Earth Day is important. So it's always interesting to say, what do you think about this day? You could say, for example, if it's a day that's traditional to your culture, then you should really talk about the tradition of it and why it's important. Okay, so I wanted to give you some, if we look at, first of all, some expressions that he said. He started off by saying good morning. Okay, so it's always important to talk to your audience, to the people that are listening, and say good morning, welcome here today. And then it's always nice to say your name. So he said, my name is Davy. And he said where he's from which country. And then he told you information. So he had, he started with, first of all, nowadays, and finally. So when you speak, you don't want to just talk. You want to say, first, this is what I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to talk about this, and then finally, I'm going to tell you this. And in conclusion, he then said in conclusion, which is like to say, to end, I want to say this as a final message. And then he told the people listening, thank you. Okay, so that was a very good presentation. So here are some more expressions for when we need to give a presentation, when we need to talk about any topic to anyone. So in the beginning, we can say, hi, everyone, welcome, everyone, welcome all. Okay, if you want, another one is welcome all. And then good morning, whatever, it could be good afternoon, whatever you want to say, just first to welcome everyone, and just say hi, really. The second part is you want to say who you are. So you would say, my name is, okay, introduce yourself. Who are you? Maybe where are you from? Are you a university student, an English language learner? Are you from work, a job? So say who you are, where are you from? And if you're in a team, introduce your teammates. I am Layla and this is Mario, and we are from Australia. Then you would say what you're going to be doing, the intention of why are you here? So you would say something like, and today, so if it's if you're doing it by yourself, or we will be, because we're using the future because we haven't done this action. So we will be talking about, and then say the name of the event. So hi everyone, today we will be talking about Australia Day, for example. Okay, so say why are you here? Okay, so today we will about Australia Day, for example. Then have a beginning. First we're going to tell you about the history of Australia Day. When did it start and where? And then you'll have to begin with, if you want, you can say to begin with, we're going to talk about the history. Or you could say, first of all, we're going to talk about the history. Then you would say, secondly, for a second point. So when you move different topics, so the history is one topic. And then I want to tell you about, secondly, what do we do here in Australia? Then we can talk about today, these days, currently, so now. So when I want to talk about what's happening, at this moment, these are some words that I could use because I talked about the history first. So now I say, okay, today, this is what happens. These days, currently, so now, and then whatever the information is. Then I can say the reason why this is important. I can start my sentence with the reason this day or this event is important to me or to the people of Australia is because, and then whatever. If you have a last point, lastly, another way for saying lastly is as a final thought or to sum up. So when I want to give one last point, so lastly, to sum up, you should, maybe I'm trying to invite everyone to come. So my last point is going to be, okay, I'm going to tell everyone to come join me. Then you need to have a closing. So you would say something like, thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. You could say, thank you very much for your attention. Okay, so I need to thank them for being here and for everyone for listening. So when I finished giving the details about the event, I then say, thank you, everyone, so much for your time. Thank you for being here. Maybe some people have questions. So you'd say, does anyone have any questions? But just for now, we just want to say thank you and show that we're happy that everybody listened to our time when we were talking about our event. And as I said, then at the end, you would say, does anyone have any questions? Okay, so here's an example. So this was an example of Father's Day. And it's an example by, Jonathan, Silvio, and Adriano. Okay, so this is what they said. Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming. We are Jonathan, Silvio, and Adriano. Today, we'd like to talk about International Father's Day, which is celebrated on the third Sunday of June in many countries, including United States, Canada, and Colombia. But in Australia, it is celebrated in September. It became a national holiday in 1972. Although it was originally largely a religious holiday, Father's Day is about giving a greeting card and a gift to the father. In my country, Brazil, it is on the same day as Australia. Usually, the families will take the father to lunch. In conclusion, this day is a time to honor our father, grandfathers, and other male role models who have made a significant impact in the lives of the children. Thank you so much for your time and for listening to us. Okay, so you could see this was a presentation about Father's Day. It had a very nice welcoming note, had very good details bit of history. When is it celebrated? Make sure you're answering the questions. When, where, what do we do? Okay, so that was just a presentation speaking about the event. But we can create the event as a poster. So if you have a look here, prepare a short presentation on an important World Day. Okay, so it's just some examples with a poster. You can see that these are images, but you could make it into a poster. But we're just going to make it as a presentation today. So we have Angeli says, hello, everyone. We are Angeli, Eduardo, and Yaneth. Today, we'll talk about the Rio de Janeiro Carnival of Brazil. Lots of Brazil today, which is one of the largest and well-known festivals in the world. You will recognize this event by its samba parades and its extravagant costumes. It is celebrated from February the 9th to February the 17th every year in Rio de Janeiro. Along with the parade, people dance and play music in the streets. It is a colorful and energetic event and is the heart of Brazilian culture. Thank you for listening. Would you agree, Eloise? Yeah, beautiful event. I wish I can go to see it one day. It looks amazing. Okay, let's do one more from Jonathan. So Jonathan's team, sorry, we did that one, the Father's Day. Yaneth says, hi, everyone. My name is Yaneth, and together with Sebastian and Franco, we are going to talk about the Viña del Mar International Song Festival. This event happens every year in Chile and is the most important music event in all of Latin America. It started in 1960. It has a variety of genres, including pop, rock, and Latin music. Artists from all over the world perform here, and the festival is known for its iconic music competitions, live performances, and award ceremonies. Hope you enjoyed our presentation, and thank you for listening. Okay, so that was really great, talking about world events, really important events, and really saying why they're important, why should people, be a part of it. So, and presenting it really professionally. And if you notice, the English was very simple. So don't make it too complicated. A presentation is always very easy to understand. It should be very casual, like you're just talking to your friend. And even when you talk about the history, it's very, very simple, casual language when you are talking about an important world event. Okay, so that's all we have.